Good afternoon, all of our UMortgage team members and people out there in the Facebook and on LinkedIn that's watching that maybe aren't UMortgage team members. This is the first of many Fridays of myself and Andrew Cady. Um, I'm kind of joking with Andrew before this started about what we should be calling this. I can't say what I said it should be, but it's really just me and Cady talking smack to each other about this. I mean,
Yeah.
we both been doing this for a while. We kind of approach it from different angles, but we both have very similar results. So here's my co-host Andrew Cady. I'll let him say a few things here.
Yeah. I mean, this is super, informal, unscripted. It's fun. Like, Todd hit me up for the idea and we were both like, yeah, this is unscripted. Let's just shoot the breeze. We'll call it. That's the proper way to say it here. We're going to shoot the breeze for 30 minutes and kind of talk about, our different paths that both led us to big production numbers and how we got there and what we've done to kind of sustain that and then to gain work-life balance back at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as we do these, we'll throw in like topics of the day, or of the week or the month. We'll approach things as they come. I think we'll start today with kind of like where we started and where we went. So I'll kick it off with mine, and then I'll let Andrew add his. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in business now over 25 years, and all but 2 years of that was in the broker channel. I did spend a couple years in the retail channel on two different occasions, and it's been a journey. I started in Ohio, in Cincinnati, land of the low loan amounts, but great chili and some other great food. Good football team lately for years. It figures as soon as I moved away, they get a good football team. But yeah, I built my whole career since 2008 on real estate business, realtor business and referrals. And, it built into a slow, I call it the marathon, not the sprint. I went from one realtor to two, to three, to four, and it took time. But by about 2016, I had a nice group of realtors. And it's amazing having that patience of just adding quality people into my sphere. By 2016, I was doing, pretty big numbers, and I did close to 100 million for many years. I finally broke that $100 million barrier in 2020 and 2021 as well. And then last year, I dialed it back to more originating part-time, doing a lot more business, a lot more volunteering with AIM, and then reevaluating where I was headed. And that led me to UMortgage. Me and Anthony have known each other for many years. And, we always thought we'd kind of maybe do something together, but how that was ever going to work is me being that lone wolf originator and him having, AIM and then a large company. And then it just worked out, in 2022, I was kind of like, hey, I love originating. Don't get me wrong. I love my realtors. I love originating, but I didn't wake up every morning inspired like I had in the past. And for many, many years, I did. I woke up every morning. I love this business. I absolutely love this business this day. But I felt like there was something missing. And I looked back and I said, wow, for the last couple of years, I've been doing all this volunteer stuff, showing up to AIM events, doing 5 to 10 phone calls a week with originators that needed help, coaching them and everything else, and not asking for a dime, just asking for a thank you only or paying it forward themselves. And I was like, Anthony's like, well, you can do that here and make a career out of it. And that's what led me down this path, so I've kind of sort of hung up my originating boots. I'm not really originating anymore. I'm keeping my close realtors that I enjoy. I'm helping them. My team's working with them. And that's kind of where we're at. And that's where I'm at. So Andrew, somebody that was in retail for many years, and we were always running the same groups. Like we had a lot of same friends in common, but we never really knew each other. We comment on each other's Facebook pages and never met in person, but a lot of really close friends in common. And a lot of my friends would say, you guys are like the retail yin and yang of brokers. Like, Todd, you're the broker. Andrew's the retail guy. You're like, you guys, if you ever got together, you would probably find a lot of commonalities. And now we're together under the same roof. And we're going to kick 2023's ass together is what I think. So
Oh,
I'm going to throw it over to Andrew and he can tell you his backstory.
Yeah, I mean, bring it on. So yeah, I actually this weekend I will have been licensed for 8 years. So I'm not, 25 years into this. I'm 8 years into it, and I grew this thing really, really fast. I started in 2015, began originating in February of 2015. By June of 2015, or actually in April 2015, I had my first closing. That was closing number one, April 24th, 2015. I still know the buyer's name and still communicate with him often. He's actually going to be getting his mortgage license, which is super cool. It'd be cool to have my first client on my team. But so I built this thing out by June of 2015. I had my first $1 million month. 4 months into this thing, I started picking up real estate agents. I also am always been referral agent heavy. I don't go out and buy leads. I don't like going out and doing the long nurture side of it where it's a 6-month nurture. I would rather take someone who's hot, ready to buy and go get them pre-approved and make the deal happen. So yeah, Todd and I ran, in similar circles. I cracked the $100 million mark in 2020 as well. Had some really big growing years up before that. In 2018, I was at like 28 million. 2019, 46, 2020 was 101 million. And just so, put some clarity out there, $100 million is different in different markets. I've seen some commentary around that. 101 million for me was 406 units. So this isn't, 101 deals that are $1 million deals. And this also, to preface, Todd and I are not refi guys. So these are 2020 numbers, yes. But out of the 406 deals I did that year, only 17 of them were refinances. We passed a lot of refinances off to teammates, other people that could handle that business because our purchase business was booming. So I did that in 2020. 2021 had some family stuff come up. It was a really tough year personally, but still managed to squeak out about 86 million, I think it was in 2021. And then 2022, scaled my business way back, brought in teammates. Obviously the Epic Mortgage team, closed 150 some million last year. But personally, I think I only originated about 8 million and hope to do less this year. And why would you hope to do less? Well, I can't speak for Todd, but I can speak for myself. 2020 and 2021 burned me out. Just the amount of work that went into it. And then 2022, almost like it sucked the soul out of you. It was crazy. Just the amount of quick interest rate rise, all this stuff. And for me, I don't find as much satisfaction in closing a deal. Like once you hit that 100 million mark, you have that big, carrot in front of you for so many years. And when you finally hit it, what can I do to work-life balance? What can I do to shift my focus from that high of closing the next deal to that high of cultivating teammates and watching them grow? And that's really the next phase of where I've gone with this is I like taking my time now rather than going out and closing a deal personally. Let my production partner, let my team step up and help. But also I like to see them grow. I like to see someone go from a $3 million year to an 8, to a 16, to a $40 million year. That's the win in this business is when you can start to cultivate people more than just transactions.
That's exactly it right there. And that's my why for being at UMortgage right now. It's, again, like I said, I was the biggest motivator in my life the last 2 years has been when I get a direct message or a text from somebody. I said, "Hey, I saw you on stage at Fuse," or you talked to me for 5 minutes at this event or that event. And I went back and I used those items that you told me, and I'm closing like double what I closed last year now. And that to me is more satisfying than any $100 million year personally ever,
Agreed.
And that's my thing. That's my reason for being at you. I now have hundreds of loan officers that I can now take to that 50 million, 40 million, whatever they need to get to. Hopefully some of them will be over 100 million themselves. Personally, I think once you hit that mecca of 100 million, it's time to use your skill set to bring others up with you and quit focusing on staying there,
Yeah.
It's all about paying it forward.
And there's only so much you can personally do. Like you see these loan originators on the Scotsman Guide that close $1 billion. No, they didn't. Like, no, they didn't. I mean, frankly, it's about the most dangerous act they're doing because they have 30 originators that are closing deals in their name, which means if an originator commits fraud on a loan, guess whose license goes with that? And so, like, to me, that's the dumbest thing you can do. I don't care about Scotsman Guide. I don't care about titles. I don't care about all that stuff. What I care about is growing a team. And honestly, that, my move to UMortgage, you're right. I was, retail for 8 years, all 8 years of my career, move over to the broker side to UMortgage. For me, I want to be a part of a culture that facilitates big dreams, not just on paper, not just, word of mouth, but actually starts to put this stuff into play. And when you start to, put your head together with people that really think on the same level as you, not just, typing an email that has a bunch of frou-frou in it. This is people that are actually doing the work on a daily basis. And you could start to butt heads with people that feel the same way you do. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm back to my 2019 level of passion and energy for the business. By the end of 2022, I was still working, but man, it was just like, I wasn't getting up at 4 a.m. I was just like, gosh, here we go again, another Monday. And now I'm like, Sunday night, like, get me to Monday. Let's go. Let's set that alarm and let's rock it out. And I found that energy and that passion back in my life that honestly had been missing for, call it the last 12 months.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I mean, 2020 was a crazy year, 2021 equally, but like I didn't even submit my 2021 numbers to Scotsman because again, I don't really care. It's not about self-congratulation. Although 2022, a bunch of us did submit our stuff because it helps you mortgage for visibility. That's the only reason why I'll be in the Scotsman Guide this year. It's not for me, it's for the company. Yeah. But a lot of people know this, maybe they don't. I self-processed everything. So in 2020, I did 346 loans, all self-processed with no assistance. And I was literally working. When me and Anthony Anthony's up at 2 a.m. or something crazy. Like he's in the office so damn early, it's unbelievable. I used to work until 2:30 in the morning every day because I was self-processing everything. And with the time zone difference, we would sit there and text and chat when he was ahead of AIM and I was still producing, and just talk in the middle of the night because it's his morning and my night. And
that's crazy.
It was. I mean, in June of 2020, I closed 48 loans. And I was so pissed off I missed 50 by 2. But at the end of that month, I said, this was an unbelievable month. I hope I never see this month again because 48 loans as a single guy processing his own loans. I'm lucky I didn't end up in the ER. Well, I don't know if I slept more than 3 hours, 4 hours a night that month.
Well, I did end up in the ER at one point. So March, that was my March of 2021, 56 closings. Now, granted, I had a production partner, a production partner, which is like a junior loan officer and an LOA working. And we were busting tail. But I mean, there were days we would get 11 contracts in a single day, like 11 contracts and 26 credit pulls in a day. And I found myself in the ER. I found myself with what they called a cardiomyopathy midway through 2021. And that was one of my big reasons why it was like, you know what? I got 4 kids. At some point, it's just not worth chasing that 100 million, but rather build the team, structure the team, pass the deals along, help grow other people, get people to a level where, their personal income goes from maybe 40 grand a year, 50 grand a year. And you can see that grow to 100 grand the next year, 125, 150. And you start to see families' lives changed. That's the freaking win in this business.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, seeing a guy that, I end up at my old company and we brought in a guy that had been not even a year at retail and just not doing well. He was getting by and he came over and I started giving him all my refis. So because I didn't like to do refis. And it literally changed his life. 2020, 2021, he made more money than ever made in his entire life, and probably never thought he'd make that kind of money before either. And it changed his life. So, that's a cool thing about leadership and just having the tools at your disposal. Had I been able to join a UMortgage in 2020 and 2021, I would have probably done 200 million. But because I would have had a team with me, and I would have had our marketing department, our ops team. I mean, the amount of support that I never had as that small little broker shop is incredible. I mean, just incredible what we have available for our originators. And I said, wow, if I want to originate here and not do what I'm doing, I'd do 200 million probably. Of course I wouldn't, because it would have a team and they would be doing it, but my team would be doing 200 million, easily.
Yeah, I have no doubt though that I'm going to take the Epic Mortgage team back to these monster numbers. Not personal production, but growing the team out. We have the support level to do it. Now, question for you, agent referral base. Where do you get your agents from? Because there's loan originators watching this and they're newer in the business and they're like, these guys are talking big shop numbers, but talk to me, little guy. Where'd you start?
Yeah. So give you going back to the beginning, from the 90s to 2007, 8, when the housing crisis happened, I was a refi guy. I thought agents weren't really my friend. I thought they were a pain to deal with. My very first closing was a refi on a 125 second mortgage, but that's beside the point. In 2008, everything hit the fan. I had nothing. I mean, literally, you couldn't refi anybody. I just moved to Arizona, had nothing. I went out and I started doing surveys. I started calling every agent I could, say, hey, can I do a survey with you? Just trying to figure out what it is that makes agents tick. I don't want your business. I acted like I didn't want their business anyway. So I went out there and started surveying every agent I could get. And one thing you'll find out, people like to talk about themselves. So, it took them off guard when I said, hey, I don't want your business. I'm just doing a survey. Okay, well, let me talk to you then. You're not asking me to coffee. You're not trying to buy me dinner or anything. Nope, just asking for a survey. And I did that. And I started hearing the number one complaint was communication. And anybody that knows me knows I have this crazy tagline, answer your damn phone. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's stuck and it's a thing. That came out of that because agents were saying, if I could just get a loan officer that worked when I work, I'm out there on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm out there in the evenings. Most agents, they're working, but they're not really working 9 to 5. They're working nights and weekends. And my thing was, after I talked to so many of them under the pretense of a survey, I would go back to them and say, hey, I did my survey results. And it seems like the number one thing that your pain point is that you need an LO as a partner that is working when you're working and is answering their phone. And they're like, well, yeah, of course. And I was like, well, I said I'm not trying to get your business, but guess what? I'm that guy if you give me a chance. And it just, 90% of them never called me again, but a couple of them gave me a chance and a couple more. And it built into a thing. And that's why my tagline, answer your damn phone, to me is so important, because it's the basics of everything we do, but so many don't do it. So many let those calls go to voicemail. Anybody, a lot of you that are watching have met my wife, Evie, and salt to the earth, but she learned really quickly that we were going to have very few dinners that weren't interrupted. And she accepted that. And it's because if an agent called me in the middle of dinner, I'd take the call. I might say, hey, can I call you back in 15? But I didn't let it go to voicemail, because the number one thing people hate, at least I do, and if you say you love voicemail, then you're some kind of psycho that needs to be evaluated. If I got a list of 3 services I need, let's say I'm calling somebody to come trim my cactuses because we don't have bushes out here. If somebody comes over, I need some landscaping. If I have 3 referrals, if the first one goes to voicemail, I'm not leaving voicemail. I'm calling the second one, and I'm calling the third one. And whoever answers the phone first gets my business, unless they're outrageously priced. And that's realtors in a nutshell.
No, I agree with you. So I did, you were taking surveys, before there were computers. I get it. I totally understand. So when I got into it, I had similar thing. I had no referral contacts. So I hit open houses and I asked the same question. I said, hey, I'm new in the industry, just started. Everybody was new at one point, but what's your number one frustration with mortgage lenders today? 9 out of 10, communication, communication, communication. And then I started finding other pain points. Speed was another one. I saw, started following all these realtors on social media and they're all complaining about late closings. And then, so I branded my team was speed, communication, and I forget the third one because I changed it. And I changed it in 2020. So I had, 3 pillars that I really built my team on: communication, speed. The third one was kind of, I didn't really have it. It just fell in place. But I changed in 2020 to add education to it. Because in 2020, it was in March of 2020, I was on vacation with my family when the markets crashed and the world's going to hell in a handbasket. And so I basically started going live on Facebook, and I went live on Facebook 3 to 4 times a day. And these videos were getting 15, 18,000 views. And I quickly realized that when fear is present, people seek education. People need to be educated. And if you are the advisor, now don't go out there just talking crap to talk crap. You got to know what you're talking about. So first and foremost, learn your craft, read the damn guidelines, become good at what you do. But when unsurety hits, be the voice of reason that actually starts to provide education to people. So today, my whole team's built on communication, speed, and education. And that's really like the pillar of every single thing we do is we educate, we communicate, and then speed backs it up. But you're dead right. Like when I got into this business, you could ask my wife, you could ask my kids, we would be out on a boat on the river on a Sunday afternoon, tubing, pulling the kids behind the boat, having a great time. My cell phone would ring. My family knew to shut up because I shut the boat off and I took the call. And I don't care if it was a 15-minute call. Everybody sat there and waited. And I'm happy I don't have to do that anymore now that I've built a team. But you don't get yourself to $100 million in production by having your set boundaries. If you're a new guy in the business, I'm sorry, you just don't. I used to see all these loan officers in these groups, and they would talk about realtors with these derogatory terms that they would use and all this stuff. And I would just be like, I would comment. I'm like, guys, for how much income I made last year, I will be a professional doormat. Like, call me Saturday, call me Sunday, call me 2 a.m. Now, if you're going to be abusive of it and that's all you're ever going to call me, then I'm going to find a new partner to work with. But if there's actually something that's needed on a Sunday afternoon, pick the dang phone up, give me a call. That's what I'm here for. And that's how I've worked with my loan officers now on my team is if you want to be great, you got to go. The difference of ordinary and extraordinary is just a little extra, right? Literally, it's the word extra is the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. And if you want to be extraordinary in the mortgage industry, you've got to be available extra all the time.
I mean, it's so true. And I so many in the broker community would follow what I was doing. And there'd always be those little distractors out there that would trash me on Facebook groups and say, well, the guy has no life. I mean, this is not what you should be promoting. You're a bad example of all this. And I'm like, look, it's what I got to do in the moment. Doesn't mean that I don't have a life. It just means that, yeah, I'm working really hard, but also at the same time, I would rather sacrifice a few years of building my production out and my referral base out so that later I can take care of my family and everything else. And I'm blessed to be financially secure. My dad's got the beginning of his Alzheimer's, and it's costing me a fortune to have him in a top-notch care facility instead of some state-run piece of crap place that's going to abuse him. And that's a result of those crazy 18-hour days that I can now do that. Yeah, and I'll sacrifice those couple of years of my life so that my father can have what's left of his life comfortable and taken care of.
Agreed.
So anybody that trashed me on Facebook for working long hours, go ahead. I'll take it. I'm a big boy.
Could not agree with you more. I never looked at it as what I would do forever, that lifestyle. But I looked at it as a means to an end. I mean, think about it this way. As a loan officer, loan originator watching this right now, what a crazy industry to be in that on every single purchase transaction you do, there's a second referral partner tied to it. Think of any other industry. What if that was available in auto sales? What if every single car someone sold, there's an ability to go get another one? How hard do you think they would work? We work in an industry where we literally have referral partners on both sides of transactions that if you go out and you not do a good job. Doing a good job doesn't get you business. But if you blow people's socks off, if you're calling that listing agent, hey, we just got the appraisal back. We met value, no repairs. I'll call you when we're conditionally approved. Hey, conditionally approved, conditions look good. Call them at clear to close. Call them 3 days after closing. Call them 2 weeks after closing. Call them a month after closing. If you're doing that level of follow-up with your listing agent, congratulations. 9 out of 10 times you've got a new referral partner. What a snowball business.
2 of my top 5 producing agents that refer me business, I met on the listing side. I mean,
agreed.
It's that simple,
30% of all the business came from that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you talk back about the education piece, that struck home with me too, because in 2008, we didn't have the social media. It was just starting to take off. But that was another piece of my thing, was not social media like you did with education, but just calling the agents back and saying, because it was a scary time for agents. I mean, houses were underwater, people were short selling. I mean, it was a really messed up time, and they were like sponges, just like in March of 2020, when you had agents scared to death and they were looking for any education you give them. 2008 was the same. Well, guess what, guys? 2022, mid-summer of 2022 and beyond, a little bit of the same thing. Agents are seeing rates hit 7% in summer this year, in late summer, and a little bit freaked out. So those of us that took the time to educate them, I tell a story. We don't have a lot of time left, but in September 2022, the 2-1 buy down had been around for a few months, talked about. It was old. We had 2-1 buy downs back in the 90s, and They kind of fell off face of the earth because rates were so low. I went and did a big education piece, sent out a detailed email, a really long email, but it was detailed. And agents ate it up. From September 2022 till I stopped originating in December, 75% of all my purchases went with the 2-1 buy down because the agents ate it up. And they went out and started pushing it to their people. And you know what? It caused a lot of fence sitters that the agents had kind of given up on, like they're pre-approved, but they're kind of scared about what payments are. And I had 2 agents call me and say, oh my God, this saved a couple deals. These people were going to sign a new lease and wait a year to buy a house. And we closed them. So education, even in good times, bad times, it doesn't matter. Realtors are always looking for more products, more information, whatever it is that can help them.
Yes. Go out, teach lunch and learns. I mean, I taught the 2-1 buy down at so many lunch and learns. It was ridiculous. And again, it's just that piece of the puzzle that seems to be missing. I mean, how many real estate brokers are trying to train their new agents on a loan officer go to brokers at their offices and be like, hey, I've got a great basics mortgage course. Let me come in once a quarter and teach it to all your new agents. Like, guess what you just did? You just got yourself good graces with a broker, and you get yourself in front of probably 10 to 15 new agents a quarter per brokerage. Like, you got to think outside the box. You got to work hard though. But yeah, I think we are, man, time goes fast when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do this every Friday too. And next Friday, I'll touch on how I use title companies to get agents. That's a big one for me that some people have heard me talk about, but we're going to do these every Friday up until you guys lose interest. And of course, there might be a few Fridays I'm traveling. My travel schedule is a little hectic this year, but yeah, we'll be back here next week, same time. And anything you want to close with, Andrew?
Nothing really. Go out there, crush your day, crush your week. Yeah, we're coming up on the weekend. Are you going to sit on the couch and play Xbox all weekend? And you go out and visit some open houses. For me, I'm going to a volleyball tournament, so I won't be visiting open houses, but my phone's on. Someone needs me, I answer it. But my daughter's going to play volleyball, so we'll be back in Jacksonville this weekend watching her.
Very good. And good luck to her. And guys, I'm going to leave you with this call to action. It's Friday. Everybody watching this call should be sending out an email, a text, a phone call, something to every realtor whether you've done business with them, first of all, every realtor you've ever met should be in your Rolodex. Not that we have Rolodexes nowadays. I'm showing my age, but your phone. every single realtor you have contact information for, send an email out, a text out, say, I work when you work. I'm available this weekend. Call me. Because that's your call to action right there. And that's where we're going to leave it today. We will see all of you next Friday at same time, same places, and go out and kick some ass this weekend.